beer tubers, welcome back to another episode of Maxwell Starr's Beer Review. Tonight we've got a special treat. We've got a collaboration brew from two local New Brunswick breweries. We're going to take a look at a beer that I got from Big Tide, and it's a collaboration brew between Big Tide and Hammond River Brewing Co. This is Rhubarbaric Saison, weighing it at 7.1% ABV. It is brewed with, I think they said it was 70 pounds of local rhubarb of all things. You don't often hear about like beers brewed with rhubarb. It's not a very common thing. And I'm not really a big fan of like strawberry rhubarb pie, but I have eaten rhubarb before, and I actually do like eating raw rhubarb. It's cleaned, of course, but like raw rhubarb's got a nice taste to it. It says 70 pounds of local rhubarb, wheat malt, Pilsner and wheat malt, coming in around 7.1% ABV. Was launched on the 3rd of August, so Monday. Yeah, it was launched on New Brunswick Day, and I picked this up just tonight here. They still had enough left for growlers. I guess they're going through it pretty darn quickly, and people on River Valley Beer League in New Brunswick, a Facebook group, have been posting pictures of this, and some people like it, some people don't. I think Sith didn't really care for it, but a lot of other people did like it, and I tried to sample. Let's move on to the beer. Crack this thing open, and not a lot of carbonation, but then again, I just got it tonight. Actually, I forgot my growler at home, but I didn't want to miss the opportunity, so I bought a brand new growler. Oop. Spill it on the floor. So yeah, a Saison of all things. And I gotta say, Big Tide's been, stretching their limits a little bit and actually brewing some things with things they don't normally do. Like they recently, I didn't review it, but they recently had a beer on tap. It was a Goza. You don't often hear Goza mentioned in like beer bar or brewpub sense, right? Another one they tried recently, and another one that they tried doing recently. A sec here. How'd that go? Nope. How's that look? That'll work. And close up for the video. Smile. Good enough. Alright. Another one they did recently, and actually I tried to sample it over there tonight, was their Imperial Stout, which was like 8.3% ABV. Yeah, well, I can only bring one home at a time. Maybe if I get a chance, they might. It sounds like they've brewed their Imperial Stout before, but the point I'm trying to make is like Rhubarb Saison, Goza, Imperial Stout. These things are usually coming from Big Tide, which is really just a brew pub that normally makes like ESB and Celtic Red and IPAs and stuff. And it's nice to see them trying to do more exotic styles. So, looking at this, and usually I think of a Saison being a little clearer than this. That is completely hazy. That's like fruit juice. Very, very opaque. And it's like, it's almost blonde. It's almost like a little pink. It almost looks like a Radler or something. It's got that look to it. It's almost like somebody put fruit, well, I mean, I guess it kind of is like somebody put fruit juice into a beer, but it's almost like unfiltered orange juice. Unfiltered orange juice, but there is no pulp in it from what I can see. Looks nice. The head disappeared quite quickly, but from my understanding, it didn't have a lot of carbonate. Or sorry, yeah, it didn't have a lot of carbonation, natural carbonation. They did force carbonate this one here to get through their pipes, I guess. The other thing I was going to say is, I guess they overestimated. This is their first time they brewed the beer. They overestimated the amount of sugars that were in rhubarb, and that's the reason why the Saison weighs in such a whopper of 7.1% ABV. But let's give it a sniff. It's not a lot there. You almost get like touches of like one of the things I notice is it's like very like there's like a citrus, like a tannicness quality to the smell, almost a touch briny, like salty or something, just from the aroma. But I'm pretty sure that's the rhubarb coming through in a very bright citrus kind of manner, like bright briny citrus. It doesn't have a lot of like, it's not a very strong aroma. It's got more like, you can kind of smell the Pilsner malt in there, and it's almost like maybe a little bit like orange juice, banana. Maybe not. Yeah, banana's probably a good word for it. But you're stretching your limits there, trying to sniff for that kind of stuff. It's really kind of like this hint of rhubarb and a touch of sweetness that it's hard to describe. Maybe like a bit like biscuity or cookie. It's nice. It doesn't smell overly strong. Let's put this thing down the hatch. Cheers. Well. See, it's definitely heavy, like a heavier bodied, and definitely thicker for a Saison. It's not so light and refreshing as you would expect from something calling itself a Saison, and this probably goes into where they kind of went wrong with the amount of sugars that went into it. It's almost like it brewed itself really thick and very, you can almost taste the alcohol. I mean, there's no like burn or warming in the back of the throat, but you do get an almost sweet alcohol kind of taste. And there's a lingering grape sweetness and lingering in the back of the mouth. But what I do get is that on the tip of the tongue and the roof of the mouth, you get the rhubarb, and that's where I find it most present. It's almost like a drying, tannic, citrus, like a sour candy almost. So it's really sour on the tip of the tongue, fading into an alcoholic grape kind of taste in the back. And it finishes off a little wet and leaves a lingering sweetness with a touch of alcohol. And it's not burning, just that taste like you've drank out something alcoholic in the back. Now, I gotta say, as a beer, I'm enjoying this. As a Saison, it doesn't really get high marks as a Saison, that's for sure. With a Saison, I was hoping for more, something a little lighter. You do kind of get like that Saison spiciness. Like I'm getting tints of like spices like coriander, maybe a touch of cinnamon. But that's that body, that heavier body. It's almost coming across like this should have been called a like a Belgian, a Rhubarbaric Belgian, instead of just like sticking with strong Belgian pale ale instead of calling it a Saison. It's saving grace. I like it. I like the taste of it. I love that tartness of the rhubarb right on the tip of the tongue, and it really reminds me of being a kid and pulling a fresh stalk and cutting it up and washing it and eating it raw, and then just sucking on that rhubarb stalk for a long time, just to get that tannic kind of that sourness out of the rhubarb. I get that out of the tip of the tongue. But this one is it's for a Saison, it's too strong. Just because I like it, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. I probably would drink this again, and I hope they do make this collaboration again and tweak the recipe so that they account for the extra sugars from the rhubarb. Based on, the explanation I heard. I haven't actually ever brewed myself, so I'm just guessing on what they are going for. I get it. I mean, I know what they're talking about, but it's how they would change that. I hope that they do come back to this one and then tweak the recipe, because I'd be interested in seeing what they can do with it. Because it's, for a fruit beer, like a fruit or vegetable beer, it's tasty. But Saison, it is not. So, thanks for watching Maxwell Starr's beer review of Big Tide and Hammond River Brewing's Rhubarbaric Saison. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you folks later. Cheers.